On January 14, 1990, Cesar Chavez gave a speech to commemorate one of his greatest heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King. Within this speech, Cesar Chavez proclaimed, "The men who rule this country today never learned the lessons of Dr. King. They never learned that nonviolence is the only way to peace and justice. The powers that be rule over a racist society filled with hatred and ignorance. Our nation continues to be segregated along racial and economic lines. The powers that be make themselves richer by exploiting the poor. Our nation continues to allow children to go hungry and will not even house its own people. The United Farm Workers are dedicated to carrying on the dream of Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. My friends, I would like to tell you about the struggle of the farm workers who are waging a desperate struggle for our rights, for our children's rights, and for our very lives. The same inhumanity displayed at Selma, in Birmingham, and so many of Dr. King's battlegrounds is displayed every day in the vineyards of California. The farm labor system in place today is a system of economic slavery. Our workers labor for many hours every day under the hot sun, often without safe drinking water or toilet facilities. Our workers are constantly subjected to incredible pressures and intimidation to meet excessive quotas. When our workers complain or try to organize, they are fired, assaulted, and even murdered. Most people recognize Cesar Chavez as a leader for civil rights of poverty, race, and the ethical treatment of farm workers. But Cesar Chavez was so much more than that. He also stood for environmentalism and the rights of women and animals and campaigned against violence. In 1927, Cesar Chavez was born to a Mexican-American family of 6 in Yuma, Arizona. His family owned a small adobe home, a ranch, and a local grocery store. When Cesar was 12, his family would succumb to poverty in the Great Depression and be forced to move around California for job opportunities. It was there that Chavez and his family would experience the hardships of migrant farm working and face unsafe conditions for little pay. For the short time that Chavez was in school, he faced discrimination from his teachers and classmates. When Cesar and his sister were teenagers, they were required to quit school and contribute to family wages by working in the fields. In San Jose, he would discover the existence and purpose of labor unions. When Chavez became of proper age, he enlisted in the Navy and served for 2 years. Shortly after his service, he would return to the fields, meet his wife Helen Fabella, and set up roots in Delano, California, to begin his family of 8. In 1952, Cesar Chavez gave up working in the fields for a job with the Community Service Organization, a Latino civil rights group. Through the Community Service Organization, Chavez reached out to the Hispanic community over important social aspects such as voting, immigration, and police brutality. In 1952, shortly after becoming the director, Cesar Chavez left the Community Service Organization to form what would later be called United Farm Workers. Chavez created the UFW after meeting Dolores Huerta, a humanitarian that also favored a better life for migrant farm workers. Dolores Huerta inspired Cesar Chavez with the famous phrase, "Si se puede," yes, it can be done, a phrase that Cesar Chavez would use to inspire many Mexican Americans and farm workers, as well as Barack Obama's 2008 campaign slogan. Together, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta traveled across the country to help field workers spread awareness of their cause and gather members for the UFW. Cesar Chavez would give many speeches on the unethical treatment of farm workers and fight for his cause by practicing peaceful protest. Chavez empowered others and created a movement of boycotts and fasts.
We're declaring war! War on the pesticides that are poisoning and killing our people.
To wage this war, Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers of America have once again called a boycott of California table grapes. Chavez wants growers to stop using 5 very dangerous pesticides that kill and injure farm workers and threaten consumers with toxic residues. The UFW wants fair and free elections in the workplace, good faith bargaining with the growers, and a joint grower-UFW program to test grapes in supermarkets for pesticide residues.
We have more grievances in terms of pesticides, blacklisting, refusal to have fair and free elections with the grape growers than any other group of growers in California.
This boycott, like previous efforts, is part of a long struggle. 20 years ago, grape workers walked out of Delano vineyards in a nonviolent action to force growers to recognize their rights. 17 million Americans joined the grape boycott. As a result, growers signed contracts with the UFW, which banned the use of 5 deadly pesticides, including DDT, even before the federal government acted. In 1975, the California legislature passed the first U.S. labor law protecting farm workers' rights.
Cesar Chavez died in 1993 at the age of 66 in San Luis, Arizona. More than 40,000 people had attended his funeral. A year later, he was given the Medal of Freedom, dedicated in his honor. Today, Cesar Chavez is viewed as an historical icon for the Hispanic community. Throughout the country, he has many different schools, parks, and streets in his name, as well as statues commemorating his accomplishments. March 31st, the birthday of Cesar Chavez, can be recognized as Cesar Chavez Day in Texas, Colorado, and California.